You practice a movement, maybe shrimping down the mat, trying not to get kicked in the head by the white belt behind you. Or maybe drilling a takedown over and over and over until you can do it in randori or live rolls. At first, the movement might seem complex and difficult. Over time, it becomes more automatic as muscle memory sets in. But is the term muscle memory really accurate? Do our muscles actually remember? The answer is no, not really. But the explanation is more complex and far more fascinating than that anyway. In today's video, we're exploring the biology of movement, the brain's role in motor learning, and how training methods in martial arts, including randori, drills, and kata, leverage these principles. We'll also discuss the neuroscience-based methods in motor learning as they apply to Judo and Jiu Jitsu. I'm Desiree Lussier-Levesque, and welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time, welcome to my channel. First, I would like to thank Xmartial for sponsoring me. When I train gi, I always wear a rash guard and shorts under my gi. And for the occasions that I do train no gi, you know I want my aesthetic on point. And yours can be on point too. The three main places that I go to for my no gi gear are Xmartial, Grapple or Die, and Grapple Like a Girl. You can get a 15% discount at Xmartial and a 10% discount at Grapple or Die by using my code DESLUSIER, spelled with an R. That's DESLUSSIER, or by clicking the links in the description. I have a new code and link for Grapple Like a Girl, and we'll add that to the description below. Now, on to our topic today. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to my channel as it really helps out a lot. So let's get into it. Starting with the basics, how do our bodies actually move? Say you decide to pull guard. It might seem like a simple act, but it's a remarkable feat of neurological coordination. The journey actually begins in the cerebral cortex, or the brain's gray matter, which is responsible for higher level functions like thinking, perceiving, and of course, voluntary movement like guard pulling. Within this network of neurons, cells that make up the cerebral cortex, a specialized region known as the motor cortex plays a pivotal role. You can kind of think of the motor cortex as a control panel for the body. It is essentially a map of your body with different areas dedicating to controlling specific movements of various limbs. For example, a particular region might govern the fine motor skills of your fingers, while another controls a larger movement of your legs. Some of you have maybe seen in biology classes the picture of the homunculus in which it shows a rough idea of what regions and how much of the motor and sensory cortices are associated with different parts of the body. So when you decide to pull guard or execute a takedown, the motor cortex sends out a series of very precise electrical signals to the appropriate muscles. These signals instruct the muscles to contract and relax in a coordinated sequence, enabling you to smoothly reach for your opponent's collar, grasp it, and then plop your butt directly onto the mat. The signals from the motor cortex travel rapidly down the spinal cord, a long cylindrical bundle of nerve fibers that acts as the primary communication pathway between the brain and the rest of the body. You can think of the spinal cord as a very efficient highway, transmitting signals with remarkable speed and precision. These signals are conveyed by specialized nerve cells called motor neurons. Once they reach their destination within the spinal cord, these signals activate the specific motor neurons needed. These neurons then transmit the signals to the target muscle fibers, initiating a chain of events there that ultimately results in the movements. At the interface between the motor neuron and the muscle fiber lies highly specialized structure known as the neuromuscular junction. Here, the motor neuron releases a neurotransmitter, which is a chemical messenger called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine then binds to the receptors on the surface of the muscle fiber, triggering yet another cascade of events. This time, it's one within the cell itself. The process involves the interaction of specialized proteins within the muscle fibers, notably actin and myosin. Actin and myosin arranged in a highly organized manner slide past each other in a process that also involves ATP or adenosine triphosphate, causing the muscle fiber to contract. This contraction in turn generates the force and produces the movement. The number of motor neurons activated and the frequency of their signals determines the strength and duration of this muscle contraction. The process is not a one-way street either. Sensory information from the muscles and joints, including proprioception or the awareness of the body's position in space, is constantly being transmitted back up to the brain. This feedback loop allows the brain to continuously adjust and refine the movements, which helps ensure smooth and coordinated action. This interplay of neural activity, muscle contraction, and sensory feedback allows us to seamlessly translate our intentions into action. So, if it's not the muscles remembering, what is it? I've already mentioned that the term muscle memory is misleading. What we're actually describing is motor learning, and it's a complex process that occurs primarily in the nervous system itself. Your brain is a vast network of interconnected neurons constantly communicating with each other. There's this old wives' tale that humans only use 10% of their brain, and that is completely inaccurate. The whole thing is being used in a coordinated effort. It's the areas of the brain that are more or less involved in a particular task that vary. In this case, the regions that we're most focused on right now are the motor and sensory cortices, but there are definitely other regions of the brain involved in this process, which we'll get into a little bit later. When you repeatedly practice a movement, such as shrimping down the mat or working on your ukeme, you're not just instructing your muscles to perform. You're actually strengthening and refining those neural connections that make the movement happen. Think of neural pathways as like roads or walking paths. The more times the walking path through the woods is traveled, the clearer it becomes. And for those who don't care about hiking through nature, think of it as the more times you drive along a particular path or road, the easier it becomes to navigate, and eventually you stop needing to use the GPS. Initially, learning a new technique requires significant conscious effort and focused attention. You're actively thinking about every little detail, your grip, posture, the timing of your movements. But with consistent practice, the movement becomes more automatic, requiring less conscious attention. This is because the brain has optimized these neural pathways, making signal transmission smoother and faster. This frees up cognitive resources, allowing you to focus on other aspects of your performance, such as strategy or anticipating your opponent's actions. It also allows for smoother and more automatic execution of the movement, leading to the illusion of muscle memory. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there are multiple regions of the brain that are involved in motor learning, namely the cerebellum, basal ganglia, and motor and sensory cortices. The cerebellum is sometimes referred to as the little brain, and it is crucial for coordinating and fine-tuning movements. It receives sensory information from your muscles and joints, allowing it to make real-time adjustments to your movement for accuracy and timing. The structure is important for coordination, stability, and balance. Basal ganglia are a group of structures deep within the brain that play a vital role in habit formation and automating learning movements, including initiating the movement, refining movement based on sensory information, and inhibiting competing movements. It helps you select the appropriate motor program for a given situation, allowing you to react quickly and instinctively, such as choosing the appropriate defense to a rear naked choke, movements in hand and grip fighting, adjustment, etc., etc. We also talked about the motor cortex already, that it initiates movement and also undergoes changes with learning. Repeated practice increases the efficacy of neural connections within the motor cortex, making movements more precise and coordinated. This is why experienced martial artists can execute techniques with crazy speed and accuracy, since their motor cortex has become highly specialized for these movements. And how does this really apply to martial arts? This is where the unique training methods that many of us who do judo, jiu-jitsu, and other martial arts or combat sports come into play. Common methods include drills, kata, randori, sparring, rolling, or whatever your sport refers to free fighting as. Drills form the part of the foundation of motor learning in martial arts. An example in judo would be with uchikomi, which are repetitive entries for throws. And in BJJ, we see very common drills often at the beginning of classes, such as shrimping, hip escapes, and a variety of guard passing exercises. These repetitive movements are crucial for laying the foundation for strong neural pathways to complete these movements properly during rolls. By consistently practicing these movements, you're essentially reinforcing the neural pathways within your brain, making the movements more accessible during practice. Kata are prearranged sequences of movements that demonstrate the principles of throwing and grappling. Judo kata, like nage no kata forms of throwing, provides a structured way to learn fundamental principles of movement, balance, and leverage. While not dynamic like randori, kata is extremely valuable for developing the proper form, timing, and the body mechanics. This practice reinforces neural pathways and develops a deeper understanding of the art, ensuring that pathways being formed are efficient and effective. Then there's randori, rolling, sparring. This is where the real test of motor learning happens, when we're applying the movements and techniques that we learned in free practice or specific training. Randori, whether in judo, BJJ, or another sport, we're forced to apply what we know in a dynamic and unpredictable environment. This is where we learn to adapt and react to an opponent's movements and chain the techniques together. This constant adaptation further refines your motor skills and decision making under pressure, making the neural pathways even stronger and more adaptable. We've talked about repetition and application of the movements and techniques. Now let's explore some related concepts that enhance motor learning, such as proprioception, visualization, and the mind-body connection. Proprioception is your body's sense of your own position in space. It's what allows you to close your eyes and still touch your nose. Proprioception is crucial in martial arts and combat sports, since that's what allows you to sense your body's position and your training partner or opponent's position relative to yours. It relies on a variety of systems in the body, including visual input, sensation receptors in the skin, muscles, tissues, and the vestibular system, which is related to the inner ear and, of course, the brain, with poor proprioception leading to balance issues, dizziness, and other problems of spatial awareness. Developing good proprioception enhances your balance, coordination, and reaction time. Mental rehearsal or visualization can also significantly improve motor learning. By mentally practicing a technique, you activate many similar neural pathways as you would during physical practice. This can help you refine your technique, improve your timing, and even reduce anxiety before competitions. And then there is the mind-body connection. Martial arts and combat sports training is not just about physical conditioning. It's also about mental discipline and focus. Being mindful about our movements and developing a strong mind-body connection can enhance your motor learning. It does this by improving your awareness, concentration, and ability to control your movements. It's also crucial to emphasize that simply repeating movements is not enough. Deliberate practice is key. This involves focused attention, constant feedback, and a willingness to identify and address your weaknesses. It's about more than just putting in the hours. It's about practicing effectively. It's about consciously trying to improve, not just going through the motions. Feedback is crucial for deliberate practice because it's not just performing the movement that makes you better at it. It's about performing the movement correctly. This is where a skilled instructor plays a vital role. They can provide feedback, identify areas for improvement, and help you refine your technique. A good coach can guide you through the learning process, ensuring that you're building strong and efficient neural pathways. Discussions with your training partners can also provide valuable feedback. I like to ask advice after a roll or even just in general for feedback. Like, was that choke actually choking or was it just painful so you tapped? Most people are happy to give feedback, and even lower belts have something to contribute when you're trying to figure out if you did something the way that you were intending. Self-assessment is also very helpful. With the permission of your training partners, of course, record yourself training and during rolls or randori. Definitely record yourself during competitions if you can. This will help you see where your strengths and weaknesses are so that you can address them. So while the term muscle memory might be a bit of a simplification, it does highlight a point to the important aspects of motor learning, the brain's ability to learn and automate complex movements. Through consistent and deliberate practice, we can shape and refine the neural pathways, allowing us to execute techniques with speed, precision, and efficiency. By understanding the neuroscience behind motor learning and employing effective training methods like drills, kata, and randori, you can unlock your full potential in martial arts. In the Army, we had a saying, which was train smarter, not harder. I'm not sure that we always followed that, but it was a saying that we had. What training methods do you feel have helped you the most in martial arts or combat sports? Are there any methods here that I didn't cover that you find useful? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you all for watching. It was really fun to do this video. Please let me know down below if you would like to see more like this or just suggestions for future videos in general. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I post lots of life updates and random things. You can also now follow me again on TikTok. Hopefully it'll remain there for a while. And if you are interested in supporting me, please consider donating via Patreon, becoming a member of this channel once I'm able to have members, or using my code to buy some gear. You can also check my link tree for other ways to help out. Also, if I've missed anything in this video or misstated anything, please feel free to add the information in the comments section. Thanks again, and see you next time. Bye!